Creative occupations. In this video, I'll talk about 10 creative occupations so that you can pat yourself in the back if you're in one of them, or you can check them out if you are bored out of your mind. If you want to find and nurture your ideal vocation, occupation, or hobby, remember to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you know when new videos are uploaded. Also, if you like this video, remember to hit that like button and help us out by commenting in the comment section as well. Now, do you feel like every day at work is the same? Like you're doing the same boring tasks over and over again, or maybe you're doing different things, but you have done them so well and so often that you don't feel challenged anymore. Well, have you ever thought of pursuing a creative occupation before? In this video, by the end of it, you will have 10 potential choices you could go for, or at least the idea of the advantages and disadvantages of pursuing creative occupations in general, so you can do some of the research on your own. But first off, what are creative occupations? Well, this isn't the same as an analytical role where you just follow the same procedure over and over again and you get the expected result, like in some science fields or some engineering fields. No, in this case, you will have that every challenge, every campaign, every new client will have something that makes them unique. And you will have to be innovative. You will have to come up with newer ideas or newer approaches in order to create a satisfactory outcome for both you and the client almost every single time. Yes, over time, as you gain more experience, you will find commonalities between types of clients or types of homes or types of anything, depending on what you're doing, right? But at the end of the day, in these creative occupations, there's a lot more art and craft than there is science when you compare them to some other fields that are more analytical in nature. So for example, you might be a singer or a performance artist, like a dancer, right? But let's say that you're a singer and you have to interpret two different songs that are very different for different audiences in different places. Well, chances are, if you sing them with the same pace, with the same tone, with the same energy, and you're even saying different words, right? Like, you're not going to have the desired effect. So basically, what we're saying with this is that you're going to have to be creative. You're going to have to go outside of the box. You're going to have to be different almost every single time, at least a little bit, so you can perform well and create the outcome that you and the people that are paying you are seeking. And I can't even begin to imagine if you were the song composer, like where do you even start? All right, so this takes us to what are the advantages of going into a creative occupation. As we alluded to in the beginning, one of the main advantages of being in a creative occupation is that you will have to continuously innovate or improve or do things differently, or you will have to do something a little bit differently almost every single time. And that's actually going to keep you out it's going to make it much harder for you to get bored, basically, because it's not going to be just like, oh, I'm going to do copy and paste here, copy and paste there, if you're an office worker, for example. And that's pretty much one of the main advantages of it. If you want to be in a state of flow, if you want to have something that's a little bit different every single time, that's going to be more challenging, more likely than not, as you go through it, then that's one big advantage, so that you don't feel so bored and so tired at work. It's the same day over and over again, 9 to 5 or worse, right? And that takes us to another advantage of being in a creative occupation, and that's that you don't always have like the single 9 to 5 structure. Many of these occupations you can do in a freelance fashion, or having your own business, or basically making your own schedule and being very flexible in the way you work. Since many of them have to do with clients, maybe having a portfolio of work that you've done before so that you can attract more and better clients as well. So in that sense, no one's going to keep you unless you're working at a company, like in some cases. No one's going to force you to do something at a certain time in a certain way, because that's not necessarily what's going to bring the results that we're looking for. Also, since there's more art than science in many of these, once you become really good and you craft a niche for yourself, then it's much harder for other people to just replicate you and do the same thing, because you tend to be more unique in these professions. That's why you see many celebrities who happen to have some really good wages, because they're very unique, and what they have to offer, no one else can get anywhere else, right? Like if you hire Beyonce, it's Beyonce. You don't get Beyonce from someone else. And that's why you will be hard-pressed to find a celebrity out there who actually absolutely sucks at what they do. I know some of you might try to discuss that with me, but you will be hard pressed to find someone that truly sucks and they're a celebrity, and at the same time they do not have like a very healthy big group of strong fans that love that celebrity, if that makes sense. Finally, when you actually have to think outside of the box and do it in a way that only you could do at that point in time, and the client is very satisfied, it's very difficult to reproduce that feeling of contribution and recognition that you get from it. Alright, so it cannot all be good, right? Well, one of the disadvantages of being in a creative occupation is that, well, do you like well-defined tasks? Do you like knowing what the end result's supposed to look like? Well, in many of these occupations, that won't always be clear cut and dry. So for example, you might be a photographer and your clients, they don't really know what they're looking for, or at least they know when they see it, but they don't know how to articulate what they're looking for. So they're looking up to you as the expert, the person who knows what's best for them, even though they can't actually tell you like, okay, I want this shot this way. So by nature, many of these occupations can be more subjective in nature, right? Like it really depends on the client or the customer or the audience that you're working with. What do they like? What do they not? And something that can suck to some could potentially be the fucking best thing ever for another audience. So if you're the type of person who wants to have like an objective standard that no one can discuss or tell you to go fuck off because you didn't meet that standard, well, you're gonna be pretty discomforted by some of these occupations, since again they tend to be a little bit more subjective in nature when it comes to the end result. Another disadvantage is that you do have to express yourself in some shape or form. And the more unique you are, the more liked you are, the better. So if you're the kind of person who tends to be more shy, or you don't want to express yourself too much, or you just want to fit in and you feel like you're the kind of person who will do work that tends to fit in with everything else that's being created, then perhaps this may not be the best type of occupations for you. Since, as we mentioned before, if you want to make like really good wages and like be really fulfilled and do very well in your occupation, and it's in a creative field, you will have to stand out. You will have to be your own unique person, and that's something that it's a big strength for the right person, but it's also a weakness for other kinds of people. So you need to have the self-awareness to know, like, is this something that I could do and be successful at it, or will I just try to be another one? Let's give some good examples, some concrete examples. Number one, photography. We've mentioned it before. Do you like taking pictures of animals, peoples, events, landscapes? Well, that's great. That means that you could potentially be a photographer. Depending on how skillful you become and the kind of clientele that you serve, you can potentially make some really good incomes with this, being a photographer. We know of people who make six-figure incomes, being like wedding photographers and special events photographers, right? And they do that by creating a strong, powerful portfolio and getting really good at their crafts. Number two, jeweler. So basically, do you like crafting beautiful accessories, and you have a knack for doing it with jewelry, right? Like putting metals and beautiful things together that people can use as necklaces and other accessories? Well, you could become a jeweler yourself. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but you're mostly just an artisan, and you just craft different accessories based off of jewelry. You can be very creative with these, but at the end, it all depends on what people want and what they like. And if you're someone who has a knack for knowing what people are looking for and being able to produce things that people find attractive, then this might be it for you. All right, the next one's for all the younger people out there. Number three, web and app developers. Do you like messing with code? Do you like building the feeling of building a website, or the idea of creating an app? A new app? Maybe there's something in your life that you do and you feel, there should be a better, easier way to do this. What if I create an app that's gonna make everything easier for everyone? Maybe you have dreams of becoming a billionaire, which again, based on probabilities, it's very unlikely, but who knows? You never know if you are the one person watching this video who could actually be the next Facebook. Now, comment below if you know a creative occupation we haven't mentioned yet. Number four, carpenters. Well, if you hate the idea of buying your own furniture and you prefer to just build it yourself out of wood, then you might have what it takes to sell your services as a carpenter or as a woodworker. You don't even have to go as serious as building like cabinets, furniture and other like household essentials. You can even go smaller and just create decorative items and accessories. Pretty much just being a craftsman of wood. Or craft woman, of course. Number 5, editors. Ever dreamed of running your own magazine? Well, editors have the power to choose what stories and articles to publish and which ones to throw in the garbage. At the end of the day, your job is to please the magazine's audience. So if you feel like an article's tone is not the right tone or a title could be changed, you go in and you change that baby. And speaking of change, that takes us to number 6, brand and marketing managers. A highly creative occupation within businesses. Marketing and brand managers basically strategize and try to come up with wonderful newer ideas that will captivate and resonate in the hearts of their potential customers. Why? So that they buy again, and if they haven't bought from you, that they buy the first time, and then again, and then again, and then again. If you like the idea of coming up with the next marketing campaign that you're gonna put all over the place so that you can attract new customers and get more business, this might be the type of career for you. Number 7, architects. Do you like how some buildings, houses, or just general structures are constructed? Someone had to develop and build that huge building or that huge structure, but before they could build it, they had to design it. And that is an architect's job. They design buildings and structures so that they are safe for people, so that they are useful for whatever that structure is going to be used for, and so they are good looking, because why not? Number 8, interior designers. Have you always loved decorating your own room, the living room, the kitchen, the bedroom, everywhere you go? Well, this might be the career for you. All you do is combine space, illumination, and decorations to create a beautiful place, something that the owners or the clients will feel joyous of looking at. So basically, all you're doing is an aesthetic effect. Of course, more experienced people in those careers might say, but dude, you also have to take into account functionality and several other things. Yeah, that's probably true. But at the end of the day, what an interior designer does is that. Just make a space more beautiful and more appeasing, more appealing to the eyes. And also, they tend to do this indoors. That's why it's called interior design, Like, did you get that? No? Number 9, copywriters. Out of all the writing creative careers, most writing careers are creative in nature. This is probably the one that's closest to the money. So basically, copywriting is writing any kind of information or words that are going to be close to a customer in a sales funnel, like in marketing brochures, in a web page. All kinds of words that are supposed to be used in marketing in order to make the potential customer do something. Maybe they have to buy right now. Maybe they have to exchange their email or their information for something along the lines, right? So that's what copywriting is. Also, since it's closest to the money, it can also be one of the highest paying ones potentially, because, for example, if you are writing a web page in which people purchase, then you were the one who created that web page, and you can charge more if you manage to create better results for people relative to what they had before. And of course, number 10, graphic designers. Basically, a graphic designer is someone who gets on with the copywriter we just mentioned before. The copywriter writes the words, but the graphic designer creates the visual concept. Graphic designers create the visuals that go into logos, product packaging, advertisements, you name it. You just have to come up with something that will be attractive and representative of the brand so that you can get more potential customers to be positively impacted by the marketing or whatever you're showing. This is obviously if it's within the context of a business, but you could also do it for nonprofits, for public organizations. At the end of the day, it's very similar. You're trying to get people to feel a certain way about your organization or whatever it is you're doing. And as an extra, performance artists, actors, dancers, singers, and everyone else. These are pretty self-explanatory, but at the end of the day, most of them, you will need to really become very, very good in order to break through. but the kinds of rewards are great and humongous. So it's a big risk, big reward kind of career choice. But if it's something you truly enjoy, then it's very difficult to get that level of self-fulfillment and freedom to express yourself that you can get with some of these performance arts. All right, so I hope now you have a better feeling for what creative occupations are and whether or not you will be interested in pursuing some of them. And if that's not the case, that's great too. Now you think, oh, this doesn't sound like something I want to do at all. That's perfectly fine. In fact, that's a really good thing to know, to have that self-awareness. Let me know in the comment section if you guys would like me to go more in depth into some of these that we've mentioned, or potentially many of the others that weren't even mentioned, but there are still creative occupations. If you like this video, remember to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and hit the subscribe buttons and the notification bell so that you know when another new video comes out that might be able to help you.